So, Angela, when I first heard the term habitude, I was so intrigued. Can you share with us what is a habitude and why are they important?
Well, Peggy, you said it so beautifully. Very simply, a habit is exactly that. It is the both conscious and unconscious thoughts and attitudes and behaviors or habits that influence our decisions and actions every day as learners, as workers, as human beings. So habit plus attitude, put those together and that's where you get habitude.
Okay, now you've talked a little bit about the issues about proficiency and the issues about how teachers need to adopt this. You have in your book, you talk about the 6 habitudes. Could you talk a little bit about that and explain to us about those?
Yeah, and I want to connect that to those conversations we're having about 21st century skills or 21st century competencies. Because a lot of the dialogue is simpler than we're making it. That if you look at successful individuals over time, past and present, in any field, at any age, what emerges from that observation, from that study, is a very consistent, very identifiable set of traits, which are both attitudes and mindset, but specific, defined behaviors. And so I took those body of traits and I just merged it down to 6, so it's a little more easy to manage. And what stood out to me most as I studied and read about and just had the pleasure of watching incredibly amazing people do their work, I saw their ability to imagine things that weren't not yet clearly laid out, to see the world almost as a child sees it. And I also recognized that those people, in order to do that imagination, were passionately curious. They didn't just ask questions, they were relentless about the kind of questions they asked at that genius level. They are willing to persevere to find the answers to those questions or to create what their imagination has designed. They're willing to diligently, tenaciously work toward really doing whatever it takes. They were incredibly self-aware. They were not just aware of what their strengths were, but they were aware of how others' strengths could be used to further the cause or further the work. They were courageous. There's nothing important that's been done without an individual that has helped that happen through courage, by taking a risk, for trying something, for exploring something that everybody else said would not work. To do the work of the 21st century requires courage. And I think the one that we can all relate to and we speak most about is how quickly the world is changing. Successful learners and workers and human beings understand that that change is really their only constant. So they have to be adaptable. They have to be able to say, this worked then, but the moment the context or the medium or the tool changes, they recognize that they are new learners all again. Those are the habitudes that I've been speaking most about. And you can see they embody many, many more layers.
Right. And I'm looking at, that's quite a list: imagination, curiosity, perseverance, self-awareness, courage, adaptability. I mean, it basically sounds like a shopping list for an evolved human being. Can we really expect those kind of things out of kindergartners and eight-year-olds and 12-year-olds? And, do you find that there's any one of those that's more difficult to inspire from students or from teachers than another?
Yes to all of that. Absolutely. We can not only expect this, it is possible. This is not some standard. And I think what has been the most extraordinary discovery for me is that when I am in the process of observing these incredible traits in action, and I look at individuals doing this work, and I give this list to people, and I say, tell me someone that you know that is passionately curious, that is excited, that is imaginative, that is confident, shares their voice, and that describes almost every 4-year-old that I've ever met. So when I have these conversations, I look at, we have nearly 99.99% of our children where these attributes exist. We are born with this capability. The challenge for me lies as I move up the grade levels, and I look at 8th graders and 12th graders and college students and graduate students, and I observe them during the work. What are they curious about? What do they do when they hit challenge? How adaptable are they? How confident are they? And so to me, the issue has passionately become not teaching these 21st century skills, but keeping them, because our students come to us ready to take on the world, to change the world, and then we educate them out of everything we are trying to teach them.
You know, Angela, those 6 traits that you just spoke about, imagination, curiosity, perseverance, self-awareness, courage, adaptability, those things they seem to be inherent to children, to young children. Young children are free to imagine, they're curious by nature, they'll keep trying something over and over again if it catches their imagination. Those qualities, however, seem to be the ones that kind of evaporate as children go through the school system and as they progress through the grade levels. So I'm thinking that in order to preserve that, maybe our target audience really has to be the teachers, to help the teachers learn to keep these habitudes alive and vital within themselves. What do you think?
You are absolutely spot on. When you look at the nature of learning and you walk into a kindergarten classroom or a preschool classroom, those attributes, those habitudes that you just described really embody almost entirely the entire class. 100% of 5-year-olds fit the bill for 21st century learners. And then you walk into a high school classroom, even more specifically, an AP biology or an AP physics or those, advanced placement classes, and you ask those learners, take a risk, ask a question, think about something from a different perspective. What would you do if? Can you imagine? And you will hear dead silence. And so progressively, they have become a part of a system and a culture that not only does not promote the attributes that we're speaking so much of, but we actually punish students that exhibit these. So when a student does ask a question or does see something from another perspective, they're told to wait, just a minute after you answer my question, or you know what, we're working on that right now, or the assignment needs to look like this. It has to have 5 paragraphs. And so very soon kids start learning to play the game of school and recognizing that what's rewarded is everything opposite of what we're trying to develop. We're conformity and perfection and doing it right is what they soon figure out is going to get them the A. And then they get into the world and they're told to think critically and imagine their own ideas and solve their own problems, and it really is against what they've been trained to do.